seeing a lot recently some of my favourite ASMR artists doing videos of their own country or other countries' slang terminology, or just sayings that people will frequently say. Now, the slang terms that I use in this video aren't just London terms, but I'd say we primarily use them, and I'd say that they come from London. So excuse me if other areas of the UK also use these terms, which I'm very aware that they do, but I would say as a Londoner that they come from London, or they are just more common in London. And anyway, I thought this would be a fun little video, especially for those of you that are not from the UK at all. These words will be something new for you guys and might interest you or make you laugh, or I don't know, maybe you'll think that you're never going to come to the UK after hearing this, and I wouldn't blame you, to be fair, because we can be quite rogue with the words and sayings that we come out with. But anyways, I'm going to stop waffling, and I've got a list of words that we frequent in London, and I'm going to give you some examples of how we might use them, because depending on the tone, like in many countries, in languages and accents and stuff, the way that you say a word or the context that you use the word in will change the meaning behind the word. So I'm going to give you the various meanings that the word can mean and how you might be saying it in that context, if that makes sense. And as I mentioned, I am a Londoner. I was born and raised here, and I still live here. And I've obviously been to other areas of the UK, and I know that people use similar terminology, but I'm a Londoner, so I'm gonna, like every other country, I'm gonna claim what's ours, what's rightfully ours. But anyways, here is my list of London words and terminology. That I will go through with you guys. So let me actually turn up the gain since I'm standing quite far away. Ooh. Okay, so the first word is banging, and banging would be used as a positive adjective to describe something. So you could use this in any context, really. You could be describing a meal that you had, you could be describing someone's style, you could be describing a journey into the city. The way that you use the term banging is always going to be positive. So for example, something that me and my colleague frequently say is, the chicken is banging, because it's an inside joke that we have about one of our clients, and basically it just means that something is really nice. So the chicken is banging, that would mean we really like the chicken is good, the chicken is really good, it's banging. And yeah, it's just a positive word, and you can use it in any context, really. The second word is for real, and I know that this is like an American term as well. I feel like a lot of Americans go like, for real, like for real. It's very, very similar in London, but I think the way that we say it is much more harsh, so I would go like, for real, like, yeah, for real. Like, it would be much more like blunt, which is very typical of British people and also Londoners, to be very blunt. was amazing, then you'd be like, for real. Or if someone's just saying something a bit more casual, then you could go, for real, like, yeah, for real. But you can also say for real in the sense of like you're asking somebody something, you're confirming something is true. So if I said to my friend like, oh my god, you'll never believe what happened last week, like I saw somebody get beaten up on the side of the street and blah 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 happened, then my friend might be like, wait, for real? Like, or just for real? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, and if I'm just over explaining it, but yeah, the term can be used in different ways depending on the way that you say it, which is quite funny. But yeah, for real, it's a very common word that we use in London and in the UK, I think. But yeah, next word, I put them together, low-key and high-key. What it means is, so low-key would be you trying to kind of downplay something a little bit, or you're saying something in a more subtle tone. So, but it's quite funny because so there's low-key and high-key, and obviously low-key would be subtle and high-key would be like you really, really believe something, or you're really, really trying to emphasize something. But actually, I find that a lot of the time, me and my friends will say low-key when we actually mean to say high-key. Or maybe that's just us. But yeah, like, I'll be like for example, if I'm out with my friends and I'm really craving like matcha ice cream, I'll be like, low-key, I'm kind of craving a matcha ice cream. Really, that means I really want a matcha ice cream, but I'm not trying to like be too dramatic about it, but like low-key. But yeah, I don't know if that's just like me and my friends, and like just being a Londoner, not being like, I don't know, not being straightforward, having ways of like being around the bush. I don't know, maybe that's not just a London thing, I think it's a British thing. It's like trying to be polite but not really. But yeah, so that is low-key and high-key. But yeah, the correct way of using it would be like, if you really wanted something, then you would say high-key, or if you really agreed with something, you would say high-key, and then if you're trying to subtly say something, you would say low-key. But yeah, another one that I commonly say is Brav. And I know that like other countries have variations of that, like brother or like bro. I think it's a very UK thing to say bruv. I use it in like everyday language, and also messaging. Like, it could be the way that I start a sentence, or I could end a sentence like that. I can be saying literally the most basic thing and I'll put bruv in it. Or if I'm explaining a story, I'll be like, bruv, like, you'll never believe what happened. Like, it's a way of kind of like addressing someone in a very informal way, but also like just kind of like, I see it as like exclamation, like, I don't know how to explain it, it's like bruv, like you're emphasizing something but also addressing someone in a very informal way. But yeah, bruv, you guys should start saying bruv if you're not from the UK. It's really fun, or maybe you guys do. I haven't actually looked up what countries say the same things as London people. It's also very typical of South Brits to think that we are the shit and we always possess things, and own things before other people, when actually we don't. But anyways, next is Leng. Leng. There's also Peng, but people don't really say Peng anymore. People used to say Peng, and now people say Leng. Leng is like an extreme, or like a more intense version of peng. And what it means is that someone or something is really attractive or really good. So it's kind of similar to banging, but leng is more so used to describe a person that is attractive. But I also use it like when describing a smell or like a food item. But yeah, you would typically say like, oh, that guy is leng, meaning that guy is really attractive. The next one is fairs, and this is the same as saying fair enough or fair, that's fair. And it means just that you would say that if you're kind of like just, it's kind of neutral, like it's not that you're annoyed or it's not that you are agreeing with something, you're just like fairs, like okay, fairs. Obviously depending on the tone that you say it again, it would mean something else. And like I feel like as Londoners we're very like, we're not very like verbally expressive, but like it's all in the tone and the facial expressions. You have to kind of like do some detective work to like work out what people mean sometimes. But yeah, fairs, it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, or that's fair, like fair enough. If somebody says like, I'm not feeling up for coming anymore, I've got a really bad headache, you'd be like, fairs, that's fair enough, or fairs. Or if someone says like, oh, I'm not really a fan on swimming in the ocean, you'd be like, fairs. Yeah, it's kind of like a neutral term for like, okay. Little trigger interlude. The next one is boss man, and this one you can use if you're referring to like a corner shop owner, which are typically a boss man. Like obviously a woman could own it as well, but typically they're men, so we call them boss men or boss man if it's just one. But people have also called like older men boss men or boss man. It's not just used for guys that own corner shops, but it's very, very typical. Like you'd be like, oh, I just went to boss man, or like boss man scammed me today, like boss man bust me some, I don't know, chewing gum for 50p. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just use it when you're referring to like an older man or somebody who's like sorted you something out, you know, like boss man, but it's typically like an older man or like a corner shop man. And for those who don't know what a corner shop is, because I know you guys don't have it, in the US, it is literally like kind of like a convenience store slash like sweet shop. There's nothing really comparable to a corner shop in the US. I don't know how to describe it. It's literally just sweets, fizzy drinks, crisps, and like a few like household items. I'm having saying boss man, but you're referring to a group of boys. It's the same kind of vibe, you know. I'm hanging out with the Mandem today, or she's with the girl dem today. That's how you would say it. It's very like Caribbean. It's a very Caribbean thing to say. I do feel like a lot of like London terminology comes from black people and yeah, black cultures, because I'm Caribbean and we say a lot of like dem and man and like those kind of things, so yeah, it's quite similar to that. The next one is quite funny, but I genuinely say this in daily conversation. It's Pussyo, which is the same as saying that somebody is a pussy or a wuss. Obviously a very sexist phrase because we know what pussy is referring to. It's referring to somebody that's weak, and pussyo or pussy is usually insinuating a more like weak, feminine trait that somebody has. But I don't really use this to describe other people. I often use it to describe myself, or yeah, like if I don't want to do something or if I'm in pain, then I might say to someone like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I'm not a pussy, like, or like, as it's very comedic the way I say it and the way that I think a lot of people say it. I know some people say it in a serious way, but it is funny, like, it just is funny. So yeah, like, when I'm in pain, I'll be like, oh, like, I gotta do this, I'm not a pussy. Like, I genuinely say this in conversation all the time. It's fun to say, or I'll be like, I'm not a pussy, like, you know, I don't know, it's just a way of kind of like, for me, it's a way of like encouraging myself to not be a wuss, basically. But yeah, not the nicest thing to say to somebody, and like, you wouldn't go up to somebody in London and call them a pussy, because you probably get like, you get in trouble, is what I'm gonna say. But yeah, I refer to myself as that sometimes. I'll be like, oh, I'm just being a pussy, like, you know, very unserious word, but it very much is used. The next one is bait, and this can be referring to someone or something. So if you're referring to someone, you might be referring to somebody who is popular, or they've done something to draw attention to themselves. So like, conversation